Hi everyone, this week we've got Paul on the show from Yuno. We're going to be talking about the PRS and who are Yuno. Paul, before we do anything, can I have a quick introduction from you, please?
Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, so I'm Paul Conway. I'm the CEO and founder of Yuno, data that opens doors. We've been running for the last few years. We've had a consultancy company for 5 years, and now we've been running Yuno for about 2.5, 3 years, and we're just up for a massive launch that's coming out in May.
Awesome. So let's start with the PRS. What are your thoughts at the moment?
Yeah, certainly. So we've been tracking legislation for the last few years, or predominantly around the licensing and planning data sets, which essentially moves really local or hyper-local markets. So when you put in legislation that's on one street and not on the other street, it really kind of throws things around where maybe you were renting to a family on one side and now you're renting to sharers on the other side and it swaps. And it's really difficult to then track those changes and very difficult for agents to pass that information on to their landlords. And then subsequently from them, we started tracking market analysis on pricing and rental data sets, etc., etc. And then we looked at obviously the changes in taxation and regulation, and obviously the Lettings Industry Council has been putting a paper together on the rent reform bill I've been part of. So yeah, I guess that's not really answering your question, but I think from our perspective, it has moved massively, and people's opinions on how they look at homes and where they are and how they live has all changed massively as well. And that's what the data shows us. And that's the difficult thing for the private rented sector just now. And there's things that I think Hamptons did a PR release recently where they saw a massive move in landlords buying up property, which they didn't expect. I mean, Hamptons are one of our clients, and you know, landlords buying up property trying to get a yield basically to smash over inflation. So yeah, there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of things happening. It is an exciting place to be, and I know the regulation from the government is trying to cut down the PRS, but we see a lot of movement, a lot of good things happening in the private rented sector.
Wicked. My second question is more on the background of the company. So it'd be good to hear from you, why the name, and if you could talk us through a little bit about the data and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, certainly, no problem. So we actually, when we started the infancy of we had it has been a consultancy company before for the last 5.5 years, and still has a consultancy arm. But itself came from that what we valued, which was qualified, experienced, and accredited people that are competent and able to do their job, but being able to prove that. So Yunona, the word Yunona in Japanese, means competent and able, and it came down to that word and when we say we believe that it means that they are not only competent and able, that the people that deliver a service or give advice, especially around the health and safety that we predominantly are a part of and trying to improve the private rented sectors, is essentially and licensing is one of our data sets, qualified, experienced, and accredited. That's an environmental health officer accredited by the Chartered Institute of Environmental Health and experienced in local councils. And we took that through all of our consultancy, and that's what pushed into the name of Yuno into the tech company. And I know it's a completely different company now, but that's what the core of what we believe.
Wicked. I think that's a very good reason to pick the name. And I do quite like the way you've shortened it and where it's come from. So I think that's pretty cool. And could you just tell us a little bit about, like you were saying about some of the data and stuff that you have? Talk about, what that is.
Yeah, certainly. So we have mapped a lot of new data sets, and we've got a couple of data partners that have kind of pulled into the new version of which hopefully we'll talk about. But up until the end of last year, we had mapped and aggregated all the selective additional mandatory licensing as well as Article 4 directives throughout the whole of the UK. And essentially, obviously that complexity is based around the location of a property, how you run that property, and obviously how many tenants and how many stories and all the rest of the things. So you had this massive geolocation problem of like, where is the property versus where is this strange little mapping system that the councils came up with, and some kids draw it on a map and all the rest of the stuff, and essentially trying to locate that and then figure out exactly what layers of like how many tenants, occupancies, and all the various other things, and that's what we kind of spent our time doing, and then obviously we built a platform from there, and essentially it's like, how can we easily identify a problem, train you on the problem, and offer you a solution, all within one kind of easy 3-step process. And we've built that all the way out into the new version of the platform as well.
Very nice, very nice. And with the new version of the platform, can you tell us a little bit about that as well, please? So I think you've got that coming soon, haven't you?
Yep, I can give you a little bit about that. Some of the stuff I'll have to keep under wraps.
That's all right.
So basically what we have been able to do is create a dynamic advice-based platform, which is unique in itself. Having licensing and planning information is pretty unique. There's not many companies out there that actually have that. We've built that in with looking at the long let prices, individual let prices, LHA rates, HMO rates, serviced accommodation. So looking at what is the financial benefit of running an asset in a certain way, and obviously extrapolate that out to a full portfolio. And then also, what do you need to do to run that property in that way? So you might look at something as like short let, like this is the way to get serviced accommodation. I'm going to get $250 a night. This is going to be great. And then the next minute you've got 1,000,001 things you need to do, or your house is too big or it's too small, that nothing needs to do, etc., etc. Maybe you don't think, maybe you've looked at the data analysis that we've got, and you're just not going to get the occupancy because it's in the middle of nowhere. So you've got to look at everything, not just how much you're going to make, but what your occupancy is going to look like, what you're going to have to do. Every time you change one of these things, so property type or stories or tenants or how you run it, your finance changes, your insurance changes, your energy changes, your licensing changes, your planning changes, the kind of agent you're going to use, and the fire safety changes. All of these things change. The insurance changes, the taxation changes in some instances, and how it's being run on all of that. And that's a really difficult thing to try and figure out. And especially when you go, every single council run it slightly different way, and then England's different from Wales and different from Scotland and different from Northern Ireland. It's it's crazy on how much stuff you actually need to compute. So that's the problem that we solve.
That's a great explanation, and I just want to thank you very much for coming on the show. I really, really appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks very much, Lee. Look out for our new sponsorship scheme that's coming up. It's going to be on the launch. Nobody knows about it yet. It's hopefully been kept well under wraps, but the launch is happening in May. And yeah, it's a unique sponsorship upgrade scheme. Check it out.
Awesome, Paul. Thank you very much.
Cool. Thanks, Lee.